Hi, this is episode 54 of Crondos. I'm your host, Jordan Hudgens. I'm a Ruby dev and the CTO of the DevCamp platform. On Thursdays, I cover topics related to the tech industry, and today I'm going to discuss the question of, is traditional education dead? This question has been debated for the past few years, and I don't want to rehash the topics that have already been covered. Instead, I want to focus on some practical approaches to help you decide on what type of education path is right for you. Over the years, I've been able to experience both sides of the educational spectrum. I have a bachelor's in computer science, and I'm currently working on my computer science PhD from Texas Tech University. On the other side of the coin, I'm also the co-founder of a coding bootcamp. So I've been able to observe both options in great detail. For the sake of clarity, let's define both educational types. For this discussion, we're going to say traditional education entails getting a university degree of some form or another. Next, for skill-based education, there are countless non-traditional educational options. We'll discuss a number of them shortly. In this guide, we're going to say and define that a skill-based education will include programs that allow students to circumvent a traditional educational approach. With my status as the CTO of a developer bootcamp, you may think that this will be a traditional education bash fest. However, that'd be a wrong assumption. Instead, my opinion on the matter is that your educational choice should be dictated by your long-term goals. In the rest of this guide, I'll walk through the pros and cons of each option. First, I'd like to discuss the benefits of traditional education. There's something special about walking into the classroom on the first day of a semester. I love the anticipation of imagining what I'm going to learn, what algorithms will be covered, things like that. There are a number of key benefits to pursuing a traditional education. First and foremost on the list of benefits of a university education is that experienced professors can help teach you how to learn. You have to consider that professors have dedicated their lives to the pursuit of acquiring knowledge. Through my years studying at Texas Tech, my greatest takeaway has been learning how to research and apply advanced software engineering topics. Next on the list is learning formal solutions. In a classroom environment, professors focus on best practices. This can be a negative at times, since a number of these approaches are not practical in real-world scenarios. However, if you organize the concepts in your mind properly, it'll be beneficial later on in your career. Universities will teach you about theoretical algorithms, abstract processes for programming, and various solutions that are rarely covered in skill-based educational systems. Last on the list of benefits of a university education is working through annoying tasks. This may sound like an odd benefit. However, when you get a job, you'll understand that many tasks that you'll be asked to complete are monotonous. A traditional classroom education is filled with projects, homework, and quizzes that amount to a pile of busy work. I remember hating going through these type of tasks, but now that I'm working, I appreciate that school taught me how to work through boring assignments. Now I'd like to discuss the benefits of skill-based education options. Over the past few years, coding boot camps and non-traditional learning programs have grown exponentially. Nearly every industry has seen this type of growth. However, few sectors have embraced skill-based education quite like the developer community. While I could write an entire book on the benefits of non-traditional approaches to education, here are some of the key pros to skill-based learning that I've found. First on the list of benefits is how boot camps focus on teaching practical approaches to coding. In a non-traditional environment, you'll go through curriculum and projects targeted on real-world development. For example, in a university environment, I've seen many times where a professor didn't even care if a final semester project worked properly. They only cared about the high-level concepts. However, boot camps make sure that you can build fully functional projects. One of the powerful benefits to boot camps are how they work with specific topics. While universities focus on teaching abstract topics related to programming, skill-based organizations focus on teaching specific languages and frameworks. Part of the reason for this focus is because boot camps have one main goal: to make sure you can get a coding job after you're done. Depending on how much research you've done on coding boot camps, you may or may not have noticed that they are very targeted. You'll find Ruby on Rails boot camps, iOS boot camps, data science programs, etc. This type of focus is vital, since you'll be asked to learn a massive amount of information in a very short period of time. Therefore, you wouldn't want to waste time focusing on anything besides the skills needed for the job that you're pursuing. Next on the list is rapid learning. While a university education can take 4 or 5 years on average, and much more if you take a graduate degree. I've been in and out of school for the past decade pursuing the various degrees that I'm working on. But in a boot camp, you can typically go through all of the content and the full curriculum in just a few months. This type of rapid learning is possible because as a boot camp student, you'll spend your time being completely immersed in the language or framework. For non-developers, it may seem crazy that you can learn a professional skill such as coding in a few months. However, I've seen it done over and over again. If you're wondering about the quality of work that a developer with only 2 to 3 months of training can produce, just follow the money. Software companies are hiring bootcamp students so quickly that the majority of bootcamps are able to guarantee jobs to anyone that successfully completes the program. At DevCamp, we've been able to offer this guarantee for the entire time that we've been in business. And thankfully, I can say that every student that's completed our bootcamp has gotten a job. Next on the list of bootcamp benefits are industry best practices. In my experience, I've seen 2 types of best practices. While universities teach theoretical best practices, these concepts don't always apply directly to real-world jobs. On the other hand, bootcamps focus on teaching industry-wide best practices. This includes topics such as test-driven and behavior-driven development, source version control, clean coding practices such as don't repeat yourself, and pair programming. These type of practices are used in production coding environments constantly. However, in a decade of academic experience, I haven't attended a single class that even mentioned these topics. So if you want to pursue a skill-based education, what are your options? Some of the options for skill-based education are 1. In-person programs such as Dev Bootcamp or the Flatiron School. Online bootcamps such as DevCamp, Thinkful, or Block.io. This option is great for individuals who want to learn how to code while still holding a full-time job. Next would be online courses from platforms such as Udemy or Skillshare. Instructor support for these options is limited, however, they can provide a wealth of information. So is traditional education dead? I'd have a hard time saying that, especially considering that I'm currently in grad school. There are a number of reasons why university education is still important. First and foremost, many organizations still require job applicants to have a degree. This requirement has decreased dramatically over the last few years. However, the large majority of enterprises want you to at least have a bachelor's. Next, if you want to pursue academic or theoretical research, a university degree is typically the best option, especially if you have any aspirations for being a professor or any other type of academic occupation. Lastly, if you're looking to make advances in the developer community, Sergey Brin and Larry Page came up with the initial Google algorithm while studying at Stanford on their PhDs. While working on his PhD, Roy Thomas Fielding published a dissertation on REST, which has become the backbone of all modern web applications. And the list goes on and on for the advances made in the university ecosystem. So which option is the best fit for you? It's completely dependent on your goals. If you want to become a developer, a coding bootcamp will give you everything you need, including helping you find a job. If your long-term goals revolve around academic pursuits or getting a job at a Fortune 500 company, then a traditional education may be the best fit. So I'll ask again, is traditional education dead? No. It has a very secure place in the developer community. However, it is changing, and that's a good thing for anyone who wants to learn coding. I hope that this has been a helpful perspective on the state of education as it relates to developers. In the show notes, I've included a set of links to a number of the platforms that I discussed in this guide. And good luck with the coding.